Good morning, Lisa from Hamburg, Howard, Hannah.
Good morning, Charles from Arondacoit.
Yay. I was laughing I was laughing so hard and a minute ago when I hit the record button, I missed it. And so we were like going, I go, oh wait, I still have to do it. Here we go.
Hey, we're still
So
learning. It's only been a
yeah.
year.
Oh my gosh. I say practice makes better.
Yep.
'Cause that's it. I'm always trying to be better.
Yep.
Practice makes
10%
better.
happier.
That's it. Perfect.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
Well, good morning. And I'm very excited for our show today because I get to interview Arondacoit Chuck.
All right. I have not been interviewed in a long time. I got a text message from someone last week. She claimed to be from Apple and was doing some sort of a news thing and wanted to interview me and her question was, how do I um what did I do to separate myself from other agents? And my response was, I don't compare myself to other agents.
That
Because
ended.
and she, no, she came back she came back and I'm like, well, maybe you can tell me blah blah blah, I knew it. They want to charge you for this interview, right, to be featured on Apple or something. And she did
Okay.
explain. They go, well, I want to do blah blah blah, and then if you like it, there's a small fee for blah blah blah. And I was like, you know what, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm all right.
Right. All right. Well, I'm not going to charge you for this, Chuck.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
No.
All right.
All right.
So what do you want to interview me about? What are we talking about?
All right. So we're talking about the topic of the day. Topic of the day is changes that are coming, which have some positive spin, right? Like I think
Okay.
some people are focusing on the
You're
negative
talking about the
spin.
changes to buyer agency, the NAR
Yes.
settlement, and how it
Yes.
across the country. It's going to be different in
Right.
different states because we still have state rules, state laws.
Right.
None of that's changed. But
Yeah.
now, to be released from this lawsuit, right? To be released of liability from this lawsuit as members of NAR, we have this. We're going to conform with this settlement agreement.
Right. Right.
Okay.
And part of the settlement agreement is that buyers have the opportunity to have a relationship with a realtor before they go look at houses.
Okay.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so, the first step in establishing that relationship, the first step in any relationship, even if, I mean, heck, you could say a first date is a consultation of a sort, right? Like,
Very
let's
true.
see if we want to work together. Let's see if we want to spend time together. So besides, and I don't want to hear the answer, well, because we have to, because the settlement says we have to have an agreement.
Sure.
From your point of view, 10 years, a decade in the business, and and I know this about you, so this isn't part of the interview. It's like, I did my research. So Chuck, I know when you started in the business as an agent, so you're
Yeah.
managing an office now, but when you got started in the business, buyer agency was a thing. Agreements were a thing. And I know as a selling agent, you use them on all your clients, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the word all is a tough word. We try
Well,
to stay away from the max,
yeah,
right? But most, I would say most. And I started, I got my first buyer agency agreement. I mean, back in 2015, some of the first clients I worked with, absolutely. I had done the training class with Dan Elzer, and
right.
and as a new agent with not a lot of relationships, and I wasn't getting a lot of listings, right? And I've literally, like, that class, when was it, in June or July or something of 2015? I got my
Yeah.
license in February, and I had started in April. Like so so I was really green, but I knew I could get these agreements with buyers. I knew they would agree to work with me, and they would agree to be under a contract with a buyer. Right? I just knew I could get them to agree to that. And so I did. I started having those conversations, and it worked out. And some of the first buyers I ever worked with, we had the benefit of that agreement, and we had a great relationship, and it was the beginning of the referral train. And I can think of one of those buyers. I think of the different relationships that has led to. It's been a lot. It's been a lot of a lot of business. So
Good.
thank
So
you.
so why was it all right, so let's start with,
Sure.
why was it so important to you to actually have those. And I imagine, and we're gonna, and with the why, let's throw in the where. When you
Yeah.
had agents who are doing it today,
So,
when you're talking to somebody, why and where?
okay. Well, first of all, for me as an agent, and as a new agent, it made me feel like a realtor. It made me feel like a professional because I had contracts with clients, right? Not just, loosey goosey, going, doing blah, blah, blah. I'm all over the place. Listen, I'll be anywhere when, I mean, that was still true. I was, right? I said, I'll go anywhere. I drove from where I lived in Stafford to I sold a HUD cottage on the lake in Angola.
Oh, wow.
Right. And as you can
Yeah.
imagine, the commission on a HUD, on a foreclosed, back when HUD foreclosures were a mess, right?
And
So
nobody
anyway,
wanted them. Not like today.
no, but but good story. Those people that bought that, they're actually closing on their house. They turned that into a cool property. And this is almost 10 years ago. We're actually closing on Friday on their house out by me. They've been clients all along, and now we're doing another transaction for, a lot. And so yeah, I didn't even think about that. Wow. Okay. So again, I loved it because it made me feel like I felt like a legitimate real estate professional. I had contracts with clients. Buyers to me were just as good as sellers. I was earning a nice commission on those buyers. I felt like I was getting a good, good pay, good return for my efforts. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that was why it was good for me. And of course, I just had to explain to them why it was good for them, because you can't hire, like, I was like, this is what you need to hire me. Like, if you want me to work for you, I mean, why would I go to work for you without some sort of an agreement that
Right.
it's going to work out for me after it has already worked out for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it doesn't work out for the client first, it can never work out for us. And I remind them of that. So I care about me, but it only works if you get satisfied first. If you're good, if it all works out, then it works out for me.
And and I mean, it's almost like a dumb moment, right? But it's an agreement. It's an agreement between parties.
Right?
You have to want to work with me, and I have to want to work with you. If we don't
Mhm.
have agreement, we're not moving forward.
For sure. No, that's it. Yeah, I couldn't have said any better myself. What's the next question, Lisa?
Okay. All right. Where? All right. So, these people call you, they found this HUD house in Angola. You're gonna,
Yes.
talk to them. Where is this meeting happening? At the house? At their house?
Oh yeah.
Where?
Well, I remember one client, one of my first buyers, we met at this restaurant on Main Street. I lived in Stafford. We live just outside of Stafford now, but it was in Batavia. I met there. I remember um, Julie and Nate, I met over at their house and did this buyer's agreement for the house they were buying. And then after they moved, then we had to sell their house. So that was at their house. And then other times we did it in the office at the it was 2015. So it was the Nothnagel office at the time. And so it could be anywhere. Now, if you asked me what's my fate, like which of the three I prefer, I definitely prefer the office. I feel that in the office, I'm in control. I'm not in a turf war or anything, but I feel like it's my professional space. I'm in control. I can make sure the Wi-Fi works. I can make sure that the temperature is the right temperature. I can make sure I've got all the tools I need to get me where I want us to be at the end of this meeting, right? And I'm just more in control, and I like that.
I think when I hear you say more in control, one of the things that I think of is distractions. I
Exactly.
think it sounds like you're also eliminating distractions by bringing them to your office.
Absolutely. And if yeah, no, we definitely are. We've got our phones are off, right? I'm not I'm not getting disrupted. And I like to bring in some extra visual, whether it's from Hannah presentations or some data point off of our PR or something. And I like to show that stuff on a big TV where we can all see it up on the wall. And, and it's kind of nice, kind of fancy. Take advantage of, being a realtor at the time in 2015 or now in 2024, when we have even take advantage of this technology.
Right.
It can definitely enhance your presence at these meetings and help you be more professional, I think. So, and if you go to their, if you're doing the meeting off-site somewhere and you're relying on some of these things, or you really need them to enhance, and then you can't get them, you can't access them, or you're asking someone for the Wi-Fi password, that's
Right.
achieving the opposite goal of looking professional. Or maybe you've got
Right.
a MiFi hotspot or something, but yet, and it's not working, and they're sitting there waiting, and that's not working. So the office is 100% my favorite place.
Good. And I would like to throw in there too, because again, I know the answer to this question. You can use any Howard Hanna office. So, Chuck,
Right.
if one of your agents was selling something in Angola, my Hamburg office is the closest. They can use a conference room here. So,
Right.
we're not saying to make it inconvenient for your client. You can use any one of our offices, 16 in Buffalo, 22 in Rochester and Finger Lake. I mean, we have many options to meet with people. Which is great. And our agents can use all of our offices.
Absolutely. I get those texts from agents, especially, starting out where I was in Batavia, then, I worked in Greece, and I was down in Geneseo for a couple of years, and now I'm in Irondequoit for over 2 years. And I've gotten to know agents from all over. And I lived in Buffalo for a long time. So, I know my way around Buffalo, and I know a lot of the Buffalo agents. And so I'll get those messages often. I feel like they'll message me because they know me directly, and they can just say, "Hey, Chuck, can I use your office?" Yep. Here
Right.
you go. Here's the code. Or, if we're open, we're open. But if we're not, here you go. The light
Yep.
switch is on the right. Just turn it off on your way out, lock up. And
Yeah.
absolutely.
That,
It's a tremendous resource for sure.
kind of, we're throwing in our little Hannah how to, but for the Hannah agents who are watching, like that's one of the reasons that the copier is the same in all of our offices. You can walk up and you know how to use the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
You are just as professional in your own office as any other office because you know your way around. Our admins are there if you're there during the day to assist you if you need anything, but it's a
Yep.
great experience.
Yep.
Um,
And just make sure you give that manager, let them know, and even, and myself as a manager, I use the Batavia office all the time, and I send Tammy a text and say, "Hey, I need to use, ahead of time. Hey, I need to be in here, blah, blah, blah." Cause it's their
yeah.
office, and you gotta be respectful, and
Well,
and
and
you deserve to know who's in your office, and when, especially when it's after hours, and
it's
what's going on.
And it's busier and busier. I'm in my office today. We've been busy all day. Like
Yeah.
you want to also reserve a conference room. Like if you're meeting
Mhm.
with clients, call ahead to the manager, the admin. I'd like to reserve a conference room Thursday at 4 o'clock. I'm meeting with a potential buyer, and that's when I need a room, and the office will make sure it's ready for you.
Right.
Okay, so back to the presentation. So
Yep.
let's pretend you've set an appointment with your client. Maybe you're talking to them on the phone, and you're going to say, okay, we're going to meet this day and time at this place. How do you? I mean, we know you're prepared. We know you've got things going on to get ready for this appointment. If I'm a buyer and I've never bought a house before, maybe I've not bought one in a few years, and I'm newish to the process. How does the buyer prepare? What do you advise them to bring or to be ready for in that buyer consultation?
Great question. So one of the things I've done to make, I think, my life a little bit easier is I've put the buyer bundle packet. I've put that on transaction desk. So if we are not meeting in person, if we are doing anything virtually, and if I have to send them something for a digital signing, they can do that, right? But aside from that, we have the buyer consult. Oops, excuse me. So, you know what? I should have. Oh, wait. You know what? Speaking of digital, where are we here? Boom. You know what? I'm going to do it right now. Where are we? Where is this? Share screen. Present. Share screen. And documents. So is that working? That's what I'm talking about. Hey, no, we'll bring you back. I
Oh.
didn't mean to boot you off the stage. So here it is. This is our buyer consultation. Okay. So I'm going to send them this ahead before the meeting. Okay. In the call, I'm going to let them know, all right, well, I need your email because I'm going to send you the buyer consultation. I'd like you to review it. It would be helpful. We'll be able to make the best use of our time, which is the last page of this presentation, reminding them that one of the things we're always doing is trying to just get the maximum value for that time, right? So I'm going to send you this ahead of time. Please review it. Whether you want to have a highlighter and you want to like highlight lines, or whether you want to have a pen and you want to take notes, you want to write your questions, what does this mean? What does that mean? So, and then when you come, we're going to go
I love
over
this
that.
checklist where they can start to write
Right.
down what's their dream house look like,
Exactly. So it gets them in the mindset like, okay, I'm going to buy a house. This is the path. This is the first step. It gets them to really start to take the process seriously. Right. And that they're not just, hey, I need you to show up at 123 Main Street, open the door. I only need 10 minutes to know if I want to buy this house or not. If it doesn't hit the blah, 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 and the blah, 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 or the buyer, who says, well, I just need you to show up at 123 Main Street. And you know what? I'll know right away. If I walk in and I want it, I'll just know. I'll know.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Okay.
No.
I respect that. Like we work with all different buyers of all different styles, and and that's your style. I'm not going to tell you how to make your decision. That's not what I'm here for. But I want to know they're taking this seriously. And this is one of those little, maybe, I don't know if you want to call it a little test, but have they gone through this ahead of time so that we can have a great conversation and maybe accomplish even more than we had thought we might in this first meeting, before we actually go out and look at a property.
And what I hear you saying, Chuck, to the opposite of that, if you do meet with them at that house, they love the house, they want to buy it, and you have to say, oh darn, you're not pre-qualified, you're not ready to make an offer. You told me X, Y, and Z was going to impact your decision, and now the house that you love, you're not in a position to make an offer on it. And then it's like, you know what? I almost wish I never saw that house, because I can't buy it. But if I have the conversation with you ahead of time, now when I see that house, I'm ready. I'm ready and prepared, because, having seen the presentation, it's a good process. If you watch
Absolutely.
the show, I'm a process person. I love a good flow chart, right? You give me 20 things I need to check off the list, I'm happy every time I'm checking one off. And so for me to have you sit down and say, these are the steps that we need to take, I personally would like that, because I don't mind a surprise party, but other than that, I don't love a lot of surprises. I want to know what to expect. So that being said, I go to the consultation, I'm sitting with you, we're going over everything, whether it's a buyer agreement, whether it's, you mentioned the difference between settlement objectives and still our state guidelines, fair housing agency. So I've done all the paperwork. Okay. Yep. I've had the conversation. You've asked me questions. I've asked you questions, and I feel good about moving forward with you as my realtor, as my representative, my agent, my purchasing agent. What are the steps after that? So let's pretend I'm buying a house. I don't know a lot about it. And you're going to say, okay, Lisa, thanks for coming in today, signing everything. What's next?
Right. So now I'm actually going to, begin providing brokerage services, the things by which I have a license that permits me to do, by our state laws, providing those brokerage level services. So we're going to have you signed the exclusive buyer agency agreement with me yet? And I've explained.
Sure have.
Okay. You signed that. All right, great. So that I said that I had sent the buyer consultation and I asked you to please review it, and we're going to go through it. And if we open it up and it's, just like it was, and there's nothing marked up, and I'll say, well, I have my own copy and I've got my own highlights. There's special things through this that to me, are the most important, right? Like, it's all great, but there's these 3 things I want to make sure we don't miss. So let's make sure we talk about those, right? I'll have my own notes to take us through it. So it'll either be just my notes, or it'll be some combination of their notes and my notes.
Okay.
But yeah, we're just going to go through this page by page. And if you talk about all this, you've covered it. You've really covered it all as far as the real estate brokerage side of it, right? I have some other things through the year, of course, without, your experience, my experience. There's other things that we're going to talk about because we've noticed in other situations, working with other clients. Well, I really wish my buyers had been thinking about this. Like, we'll have more stuff. But I'm really just going to take them page through page through the buyer consultation. This is just a fantastic, tremendous tool. I'm not a huge fan of recreating the wheel. Like, once something's been made and I think it's great, I just feel like take advantage of it. We talk about rip off and duplicate a lot. How about just rip off? I don't even need to duplicate it. I'll just rip it off. And the thing is, I'm not really ripping it off from Hannah, because they're saying, hey, Chuck, have it. It's for you. Right?
Yeah.
Agent, take it. It's for you. Just all you gotta do is put that thing on your dashboard, open this, click, print, send a digital file to your client, however you need it to interact with. But this is everything you need for that initial meeting. It's really fantastic.
Yeah. And I like this one too, that talks about this whole timeline of how we're going. We're meeting with a consultation. We're going to start searching for a home. We've got all the steps until finally closing day, right? Super happy, moving day. Everything has gone well. And from that first meeting, talking about what my hopes and dreams are for my next house, to like, hey, I met my attorney's office at 11 a.m. I got the keys at noon, and I'm ready to start moving in. It's, that's the ultimate goal,
Yeah. You guys have keys in Hamburg? Out where I live, we sell houses. Oftentimes there's no keys. It's true. I'm just saying.
Yes. Yes.
So anyway,
but that's that's it. And then, so at the end of that consultation, and I also think I hear you saying it's different for everybody, right? It's hard to ask you, well, what's going to happen, because it depends on the buyer. It depends on the client. It depends on, it might be that, hey, we need to get you pre-qualified. We're going to have you sit down with First Priority, figure out your budget. It may be that, no, I've got, 400,000 in the bank. I've been saving and I'm ready to buy a house. Okay. Like 2 different paths.
Lisa, if there's one thing I kind of want everyone to hear, it's really about this. I think we might worry a lot about, are we going to say the right thing? Do I have a great presentation? Are they going to be wowed by what I'm going to do? And I think we need to flip our mindset a little bit. I think we need to stop worrying about that. And I think we need to be ready to listen. I think we need to just sit down and maybe put out a couple questions out there and just be ready to listen. They're ready to talk. They're ready to tell you their story. They're ready, and they're exciting, and they're nervous, and you just need to let them go. And you just, we shouldn't worry so much about, are we going to say the perfect thing? Are they going to like me? Are they going to, man, no, they like to talk about this and everything they've been through and how they got here and what happened last time, or, what their vision for their future is. And we just need to give them that opportunity to tell that story. And I think if we focus on that, I think we'll have the most amazing presentations the most amazing consultations, I should say. And it was really more what they told us. It wasn't everything that we planned for to close the deal,
No.
And it's not about us. It's not about us. It's about them. Right.
we're explaining to them the steps, we're explaining to them the process, but we're doing more listening than talking. We want to find out what's got them to this point.
Right.
Why a change today, whether they're buying and selling, just buying, just selling. We're focusing on this buyer consultation, but many of our buyers have a property to sell. Many of our buyers have had real estate experience in the past, good or bad. We want to hear what that experience has been like so that we can either duplicate or fix. Even if it's, I would imagine for a lot of our Hannah realtors out there, we're going to be having buyer conversations with people we've already sold houses to, right? So
Oh yeah.
that's going to be a very comfortable, easier conversation because, I sold them the house they're in, and now we're talking about where they're going next. Maybe when they bought the house from their agent 15 years ago, their kids were babies and now the kids are going on to college, and it's like, yeah, it makes sense for a move. Or maybe they bought a
Mhm.
house when they had a certain living situation and now they've got other family members with them. They want a little more room, they want a little less room. You've known what's been going on in their life, but now you're diving deeper into like, okay, let's make this change happen. So
Yeah.
it's, I
You know,
I it's it's a fun job, real estate. It's a lot of hard work, harder than we don't let on how hard it is, right? Sometimes, but it is one of the most rewarding jobs. Like
yeah.
you're really brought into people's lives, and
You
you're
know,
helping them make life changes. It's
agreed.
it's a
Agreed.
privilege.
Like, and that's the thing. You don't quite get that until you're working in real estate. People will often say, well, what's your why? Why are you doing this? What's your why? And I'll always say, well, my why when I got a license is changed since being in real estate for longer and longer and longer. I got a real estate license. My why was because I needed to earn an income, support my family, right? I needed to be successful that way. But most people can be successful in a lot of different things. And real estate is challenging, no question about it, and I said, well, but my why when I started to earn an income, support my family, that's not a sustaining why. And I found that the relationships I have with my community and my friends and my family and my people I meet, that you're just in such a critical, such a cool, important part of their life. You have this connection with them,
Yeah.
and it's so important, like, to them. They don't work with 100 different realtors. You might work with more than 100 different clients over the course of whatever period of time, and those relationships are all important, special and important. But your clients really don't work with 100 different realtors, right? They it's it's different, and it's such an important critical relationship. And I learned, to me, I learned just a couple years in, like, that became my why, because I learned about this being a part of people's lives in this way, and making that difference for them, was so fulfilling.
Yeah.
And it's just it's it. That's the juice that keeps you going.
It's
But
interesting too because you stay in their lives even when they're not buying and selling, because they'll
sure,
call you, "Hey, we need an electrician." I'm going to call my realtor. They know. They
no,
work with different service providers.
of
I
course,
mean, you stay in touch. We do our home physicals, how much or what is your home worth today that you bought 3 years ago? It's great
yeah,
for estate planning, equity planning. Like those are the services that we do above and beyond and post, as we say, post transaction. We're there to answer questions down the road. Your
yeah,
mortgage person is going to talk about refinancing. Maybe you bought the house, the rates were here, they've come down. We're going to reach out and say, hey, maybe it's time to refinance, or maybe it's time to move. What do you want to do?
speaking
But
of,
let's have again,
yeah,
consultation is the key.
okay, speaking of moving, speaking of what's next, you know where we're going next?
I think I do.
Frankie Primo's October 6th.
Yes, I've got my
Bills,
ticket.
Bills party. Oh my God, the Bills are gonna crush the Texans. I can't wait to see this game. I can't not wait.
Yeah.
on the other hand, you might, I mean, I know you're excited for the game. You might, what would what would the ultimate outcome for, I know the ultimate outcome for you at the game would be the Bills winning, of course, like 21 to
Yes.
17, but
Yes.
Stefan Diggs with, 10 catches, 2 touchdowns and 150 yards, right? But in a
I want
losing
him to
effort,
be the
in a losing effort,
best player on the losing team.
the MVP of the game, but on the
No,
losing.
on the losing team.
That is awful. Um, yeah, Diggs. No, you know what? I don't
In
know how
any event,
I don't know
it
how I
is a
feel about Diggs.
fundraiser for the
It is.
Children's Free Care Fund. It's gonna be a great time.
You
We had,
know,
a
what
great
the word fundraiser starts with?
I
Fun.
do. Fun.
Fun. It starts with fun. This is such a fun event. I've been to this party a number of years. We have out on the patio, there's all the places to sit, the big screen.
Mhm.
Um, And then inside there's the outdoor bar, and then the inside, there's lots of baskets, opportunities to support in this case, Oshai's Children's Hospital. So
Yes.
yeah, I mean,
We'll post the link in the comments. We'll put the QR code. I mean, it's been on our site quite a bit, but we'll continue to show that. It is a great, Chuck and I were at the training camp event last week, and you know what? One of the things I really loved about it, and this is going to sound odd, I hardly knew anyone there. It was not just a room full of realtors. Like,
right.
everybody brought friends and family and clients, and it was, I mean, there were 300 people there in our tent area. It was super cool. And
Yep.
that's what this party's like too. It's a great event to bring, to thank your clients, to have a good time. It's an away game, so you're not worried about traffic near the stadium. It's just an awesome time. Robin Suppa and her team do a great job getting ready.
It's December 29th. If we weren't having this party, you'd probably be on an airplane to Texas to watch the game, because it's going to be, it's December 29th, right? Who doesn't want to go
It's
to nice
October
warm
6th.
Texas? Oh no, I keep mixing
You
up with the
keep
Jets.
mixing up the other raffle for tickets
That's
to
the
the
other
Jets
raffle,
game.
right? This is October 6th. So yeah,
Yes,
no, forget
October
that.
6th.
Oh my God, that's like the best week of the year in Buffalo, October, that
Oh my
first week of
gosh.
October,
Yes.
for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to be a great time. So, great things happening in the world of real estate. If you are a consumer watching this, if you're someone thinking about buying, you
Yeah.
owe it to yourself to have that consultation. Don't try to just sign a touring agreement and go look at a house. One of the posts I saw an agent put out there says, if you want to get into a house, call a locksmith. If you want to buy a house, call a realtor.
Agreed. Yeah, no, exactly. Right tool. You got to have the right tool for the job. I mean,
Yeah, I wish I could take credit for that statement, but I thought it was very well said. So,
well, Lisa, I'm giving you credit. That's a final thought. Cheers, everybody.